Hey everybody, I'm Kim. I am one of the kennel managers at HAWS, and I've been asked to tell you a little bit about my position, my job at HAWS, and what I do. I only have a few minutes, otherwise I need 3 or 4 days to explain everything that we do, but we're pretty busy. So being a kennel manager means I am in charge of and supervising the entire kennel as a whole, meaning every animal that's in the shelter, every animal that comes through the shelter, any animal that is housed in the kennel area is my responsibility, as well as the staff that take care of those areas. So pretty much any animal that walks through our front door or we need to go pick up, I need to know the whereabouts of that animal, the condition of that animal. Is it getting the care it needs? Is it going where it needs? Have I communicated to the other departments what this animal might need, like behavior training, medical care, a foster home, whatever? That's my job to relay, that information to the right people so we can do the best for that animal. My days typically start around 8 or 8:30, and I either work 8-hour shifts or 10-hour shifts. Recently, I changed my schedule to 5 8-hour days. I had been working 4 10-hour days for about the last 10-12 years. So that's changed and that's new for me. But the first thing I do when I get in the morning, I do some laps around the building and I check out every animal and are they okay? Do they need something else? Who's new? Who came in overnight? Who needs medical attention immediately? Maybe they broke a nail or did something in their kennels, and that kind of stuff needs attention. So I need to make sure I get that taken care of right away in the morning. What else? I gotta make sure staff is doing their job. We have pretty good staff, so they're pretty self-sufficient, require not much follow-up, but everybody needs a supervisor. Any animal that comes in to the shelter, they're given an account. I need to take that account, and myself or one of the other trained kennel staff checks in that animal. We do basic physical wellness checks on them, document anything that's abnormal or needs to be looked at by a vet, and then we do data entry into our database, which is Shelter Buddy. So there's a lot of computer and data entry by myself and some other staff members in the kennel that takes, it can take a long time. But yeah, once all that's done, we get the animal set up comfortably and try to decide where it needs to go from there. Hopefully, our main goal is to put it right up for adoption. But if there are age restrictions, behavior restrictions, medical restrictions, whatever, we need to get them in an area of the building where they're comfortable until they can be taken care of and ready to go back up for adoption. So what else do I do? Well, I pretty much am there for every department in the building. The other kennel manager, Jamie, and I, we are a good source for answers. A lot of departments every day will come to us looking for answers or helping them come up with ways to improve, or not improve, but help their department. For example, the education department needs information on animals oftentimes that are safe, healthy, happy to use for camp and education purposes. So we need to keep on track with them to let them know this group of animals is solid, this is perfect, these are the ones you guys should work with, these ones not so much, but they need work too. So we have a lot of communication with them. We communicate a lot with our SNP department, the spay neuter clinic back there. They're our medical source, so we're real close with them. We work real tight together because we're in charge of the animals, they're in charge of the medical care. So making sure everybody's good to go on that line. The office does their best. They do everything they can to help the public and answer questions, but a lot of times they just need a little bit, they need a little bit more support, I guess I should say. So they'll come to us, they'll run through the current situation or scenario, and we'll give their feedback, and we'll come to pretty much an agreement on the best plan for whatever the situation is. What else? Who else? Volunteers. Volunteers are great. But they come to us all day too, asking questions, who needs extra attention? Who can I take out that's in the back that might not be up front? Who can where did this animal go? What's going on? How can I help? All sorts of stuff. So we're here to help them all day too. I guess during the really busy months of, let's say, April to November, we are extremely busy in our office. We have brooders in there, and it is kitten season. So a lot of time during our day is spent caring for newborn kittens, sick kittens, kittens that are not thriving very well. They need a lot of one-on-one kind of ICU care. So we do a lot of that work and oftentimes end up taking them home. Let me see here. We do a lot of medical stuff. A lot of people think that we're just running the shelter and making sure staff is picking up poop and squeegeing, and that's not the case. We are doing medical. We're doing blood draws. We're doing vaccines. We're giving dewormers. We're wrapping bloody tails. We're checking out bloody toenails that have chipped off in the kennel. We're running fecals, poop. Poop is my thing. I work with poop all day long. Nobody likes an animal with diarrhea. Animals with diarrhea don't like it. So we're running fecals all day. A little bit of lab work in there to make sure we can do whatever we can to fix that problem, because that's not pleasant at all. But we're doing euthanasias. Euthanasias are a part of kennel management, and upper kennel staff, caretaker threes, a lot of them are certified and trained to do euthanasias. It's a touchy subject. It's a hard subject to talk about for a lot of people. I think you need to really understand the process of euthanasia and that it is the most humane way an animal can pass on. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But we're there for pretty much everybody in the building and do what we can to see when the animal comes into the shelter that they're leaving the shelter in the least amount of time. So that's basically our focus. Sitting down is not usually an option during the day. We are very busy. It's great. I love it. So pretty much anything you can think of that goes on in the shelter, the kennel manager is involved one way or another. So anyways, I hope you guys really enjoy your program that you're getting into, and I will probably be seeing a lot of you around in the next few months if we're ever lifted from quarantine. So good luck, have fun, and have a great day.
My name's Megan, and I'm an animal caretaker at HAWS Waukesha. A normal day in the kennel is doing a little bit of everything. We feed and provide enrichment to all of our animals. We clean up after them. We medicate, vaccinate, do dishes, and a lot of laundry. We also do provide end-of-life services to the public, which I am certified in performing. And I'm also part of an animal rescue team where we assist the public with stray animals, sick or injured wildlife, and also assisting our local police department and fire department with any needs that they may have. What I love most about my job is being hands-on with all of our furry friends and also being able to educate the people around me and the public about our mission here at HAWS. My least favorite part of the job is probably the goodbyes, as selfish as that sounds, but I always just try to remind myself that it's not goodbye, it's I'll see you later. Before I worked at HAWS, I worked at a senior living facility, which taught me a lot about compassion and patience, which are two things that you must have while working at an animal shelter. But all around, I love my job, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, even on the super busy days.
Hi, my name is Kelly, and I'm the shelter director. And part of my job is doing a little bit of everything. So that might mean I clean up poop for my friend Daisy here. So what do I like most about my job? I like that every day is different. I never know what I'm gonna do from day to day. Oh, Daisy, that's poop. What I like least is paperwork, which I have a fair amount of. And what I did before this was I worked at McDonald's a long time ago. And how did that prepare me for this job is that it gave me a super good work ethic. Always be busy. If you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Hi everyone, I'm Nicole. I'm the business coordinator at HAWS. This is my dog Bear. Just wanted to jump on and share a bit of information with you as far as what I do as the business coordinator for the shelter. Basically, I handle all of our accounts payable and accounts receivable. So I take invoices and I pay those for things we've purchased at the shelter. And I enter all of our financial information into QuickBooks and give that to our board of directors. It's not really the fun part of the shelter, playing with animals, but it is a very important part of the shelter to keep it running. So how I got to where I am is about 11 years ago. I was in college and I was doing an internship with our marketing department, and then that turned into a part-time position with our mobile adoption department. And shortly after that, I left my full-time job in banking. I was a customer service representative trainer at a credit union. And then I started with their adoptions department. And then I moved to our mobile adoption coordinator. And then I worked for our spay neuter clinic as the receptionist. Then I started processing donations and then has since moved to the business coordinator role. So a lot of different things have gotten me to where I am at the shelter today. Mostly the biggest thing was just reaching out. When I was in college, I emailed our volunteer coordinator. I was a volunteer at the time, to ask if I could do the internship. And that was a yes from the marketing coordinator. And that's kind of how it all started. So don't feel bad about reaching out. You never know what you're going to hear as far as being able to work with something that you're very interested and passionate about. So it kind of puts two of my worlds together, with my love of animals and then my business background from school and working at the credit union. So just keep plugging along and never be afraid to ask, and that will get you to where you want to go.
Hi guys, my name is Dana Lear and I am the Fund Development Coordinator at HAWS, and this is my puppy Beckett, who is going to join us for a little bit today. So as a Fund Development Coordinator at HAWS, day to day, I really spend a lot of my time on donor relations, and that means I am cultivating new donors as well as maintaining relationships with donors who are already involved and engaged in our organization. So that could mean reaching out and simply saying thank you with a phone call or a card, or inviting them in for a behind-the-scenes tour of the shelter, or going out for lunch or coffee and just catching up with them and letting them know what's going on and updating them on happenings at the shelter. Corporate relationships, we are out there trying to cultivate and steward those. It's important that we get involved with our community, and a lot of businesses are great. They have a great opportunity to sponsor different events with us. So we take pets out to people's businesses. We also will engage corporate businesses by having their employees come in and volunteer with us.
Hi, my name is Johanna Szymanski, and I work in the mobile adoption department at HAWS. My role in our organization is to represent the shelter at public functions. So I go out to public functions many times with adoptable animals, which is fun, but it's not all fun and games. I am there for a purpose. My goal is to express to the general public what the shelter does, what kind of services we offer, and how we are a part of the community. I also am trying to solicit donations more often than not, whether it be monetary donations or donations of supplies, and then also trying to express to the public how those donations are used in our organization. So I do have, again, the benefit of taking animals with me, which is fun, but it's fun with a purpose. So I'm out trying to engage the public and make them understand why our organization is special and deserving of their support. So prior to working for HAWS, I worked in a laboratory. I don't really know how that applies in this setting, but before that, when I was getting my undergrad and before, I worked as a vet tech for about 10 years, and that gave me animal handling experience, which is beneficial when I'm out in public and dealing with animals. It also helps in me being able to express to people maybe the different needs of different animals that we have for adoption, because engaging the public is also expressing to them that we would like them to adopt the animals that we have with us. So I'm able to represent the animals well and express to them clearly things that certain animals might need. I also worked in a wildlife rehab center for an internship while I was in college, and that's been helpful because as a side venture at HAWS, I guess, I have done some on-call work and helped after hours with picking up strays and injured animals, so that's been helpful in kind of triaging those calls and explaining to the public, you know, with wildlife if they need to be left alone or if they should be brought in. And I really like my job. I've worked at HAWS for 7 years, and I think the biggest downfall, in my opinion, of this job is that sometimes when I'm done with an event, I wish I didn't have to drive back to the shelter. I wish I could just drive home. But sometimes, you know, when you're done with work, you just want to be done with work. But sometimes when I'm done with work, I have to go back to work and unload my work. Anyway, it's a great job and something that you might not consider when you think about working with animals. So I hope that you are doing well, and I hope that this gives you something to think about. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Emily. I work in the HAWS Behavior Department. I've been working there as an instructor for the past year and a couple months. Before that, I worked at another shelter and then at a pet store. So that was kind of my experience there. I also took some classes on animal assisted therapy in college, and I have a background studying psychology in college as well, which actually does come in handy quite a bit because part of what I do is behavior consultations. So if someone adopts a dog or cat and is having some behavioral issues at home, whether the dog is barking at other dogs or doing some destructive chewing, or if the cat is not using the litter box or is scratching or attacking ankles, I kind of do the same sort of stuff I learned about in my psychology classes. I listen, I do intake of information, and then I try and understand what the cat or dogs need and what the people need, and find a compromise and find a way for both parties to be happy and to keep the pet in their home rather than coming back to the shelter, which is so important because we want the animals to be thriving in their homes and we want the people to be happy with their pets. So that was very helpful, but a lot of my background was just doing a lot of independent research. I'm also a dog trainer, so I do teach behavior classes, training classes, which that was a lot of me reading books all on my own, looking up dog training and behavior books, cat behavior books, learning as much as I could, trying to meet different dog trainers and cat behavior experts and picking their brain and learning that way. And working in a shelter has been incredibly helpful because I could do a lot of hands-on, firsthand learning that way, seeing what I saw, how a cat reacted when I did something, how dogs reacted when certain things were happening. I could see behavior. So that is incredibly important. Whether you are volunteering at a shelter or working at a shelter or interning, if you're able to get in with the cats and dogs, whatever your interest is, and get some hands-on experience with them, that is huge. That and really getting out there and educating yourself and reading books and the combination of book smarts and firsthand experience is huge for this. Favorite part of my job is the success stories, seeing a dog learn a new cue, hearing from someone that the recommendations I gave them to have their cat use the litter box consistently really worked and they're so happy. That's so rewarding and such a great part of my job. My least favorite part of my job is when people aren't open, when people are not open to suggestions and put their foot down on things and don't want to compromise and don't want to accommodate. the animal, which is hard because it's mostly a mindset difference from myself. So getting past that initial, oh, I disagree with them, I want them to listen to me, and really hearing what they're saying and seeing how you can get through to them, or seeing if maybe it isn't a good fit in that home. So that can be hard, but it is ultimately still working for the animal's benefit and trying to get them into the best home. So yeah, it's a great job. It's a lot of work building up to it, but the more you put in initially and really taking it upon yourself to find ways to get involved, the more rewarding it is down the road and the more confident you can feel doing this. So that's my job in the behavior department as an instructor. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alyssa Kelbakowski. I'm one of the several veterinarians who work at HAWS. I primarily do spays and neuters, both on shelter pets and for members of the public, but also do some of the medical care involved with the shelter animals. What I like best about my job is that I get to help not only animals, but also people by making their pets as healthy as possible, helping rehome them if needed, things like that. What I like least about my job is probably having to deliver bad news sometimes, whether it's a sick pet, a rough situation. That's probably my least favorite part of the job, but a necessary part. There is a lot of education required in becoming a veterinarian. You have to do a 4-year college degree and then 4 more years of veterinary school after that to get your Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree. So if you are interested in going into veterinary medicine now as a high school student, you should definitely be shadowing in veterinary clinics and getting exposure to what veterinary medicine is like. You want to make sure that this is what you want to do before you put forth all the time needed to get that degree. And that'll definitely look good on your vet school application. Thanks.
Hello everyone, my name is Katie Sheldon. I am the volunteer coordinator at HAWS. In the background here is one of my kitties, Virgil, who was adopted from HAWS. We fostered him for about a year before we adopted him. He was born without his 3rd eyelid, so he had to have a few rounds of surgery to have the hairs around his eyes actually frozen off. So he looks like he's wearing white eyeshadow. It's pretty funny, but we love him. So we are here today to talk with you about what I do at HAWS in my current role, and I'm also going to describe to you what I did before that. So currently I'm the volunteer coordinator, but before that I was an adoption counselor and an adoption lead, so we'll talk about both of those things. In my current role, I primarily deal with our volunteers in foster homes. So we have about 425 volunteers who come into our shelter at least once weekly, and they do all sorts of different tasks. So they socialize with the cats, the dogs, the small animals, also things like feeding the dogs and yard work. So really all sorts of different things. There's an opportunity for everyone. Other than that, the foster homes, really retaining foster homes, making sure that they are knowledgeable about what they need to be doing, and placing animals with them. So making sure that each animal goes to a foster home that is suited to provide for its medical and behavioral needs. Other than that, the day-to-day portion of my job, for the most part, I spend a lot of time approving applications. So we get tons of foster and volunteer applications weekly, so I spend a lot of time on that, making sure that they are able to volunteer with us and making sure that they are set up with training sessions and things like that. Other than that, I also spend a lot of time daily placing animals in foster homes. So during this Sorry, that's my other kitty playing with the door. So during this time of year, we have a lot of kittens who come in. So that is where the majority of my time is spent, is getting them placed in foster homes. My favorite part of my job, I would say, is definitely working with our volunteers. and fosters. We have a lot of people who have been with HAWS for a very long time, 5, 10, 15 years. So there really is a chance to build a lot of relationships there, and it's very rewarding. Other than that, I also do really enjoy seeing all the kittens come in when I get to place them in foster homes. So going to take pictures of them, taking a little time to cuddle with them before going back and staring at my computer screen. I would say my least favorite part of my job is just when disciplinary action has to be taken. So it is my job to make sure that our volunteers and foster homes, of course, are abiding by all of our rules and regulations for them. So whenever I have to take any sort of disciplinary action, that is definitely my least favorite part of my job. Other than that, before I was in this role, when I first started at HAWS, I was an adoption counselor. So our adoption counselors work at our front desk, and they do just about everything. They deal with just about every phone call or person who comes through the doors. So the main portion of the job relates to helping people find new animals to adopt, assisting people who need to rehome their animals as well, bringing in stray animals as well as wildlife and kittens who were born to outdoor cats. I would say my favorite part of that job was definitely helping to find those animals new homes. It is very rewarding, especially when they've been with HAWS for a long time, to be able to help place them in a new home and know that they're going somewhere great and get a chance to build that rapport with the people who are taking them home. My least favorite part of that job, I would have to say, came down to the fact that they deal with just about everything. So we deal with lots of happy things at HAWS, lots of adoptions, thousands every year, but we also do provide services for the public that aren't as happy, such as euthanasia services if their animal has come to the end of their life. So it really is a roller coaster of emotions, and that wasn't always my favorite part of the day, but the adoptions were always something nice to look back on.
Hi, my name is Andres Garcia. I'm the Field and Facilities Manager at HAWS. This is my friend Karma. Right behind that tall pole is Little Man, and then in that box hiding is Petey. And I was asked to tell you guys about what I do around the shelter. Basically, with Field and Facilities, the biggest thing is that I handle the municipal contracts. So we do a lot of the animal control for most of the municipalities in Waukesha County. So I handle all the contracts of what we actually do, how much the services cost every year, and then set up the schedule for our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week response team for when the shelter is closed as well. And then, so that's like the big duty. The other like day-to-day stuff is repairs of anything that breaks down, whether I can fix it myself or whether I have to contract it to someone. It just depends on what's broken and how technical it is, or whether I'm even allowed to touch it. Like if it's the sprinkler system, it has to be someone who's licensed. So it just really depends on, every day is something different. It could be a drain that is flowing back into the building, which is what you don't want, or as easy as replacing a light bulb. So it just really depends on what's going on that day. The other part that I do offer for the public is private euthanasia. So that means when it's time for a family to say goodbye to their pet, and they want to be present during that sensitive moment, I can be in the room and do the procedure, and the family can be present so they can say goodbye to their pet and hold them while the pet is passing. And that's what we do normally, and it's by appointment. Right now, with COVID, we're not doing it since I can't be 6 feet from someone and their pet. And it's just kind of a safety issue and trying to stay within regulations. And then, kind of every day, they put me wherever they want. I've worked in the front office, I've worked in the SNP clinic as a veterinary tech assistant, and I've worked in the education department with the community service teams. So there's a ton of stuff to do around here that's not directly animal related, but it corresponds to the mission which we try to carry about rehoming animals without homes, assisting people that need assistance for whatever reason, be it medical, they no longer want the pet, they no longer can keep the pet, whatever it is. So again, my name is Andres, and I'm the Field and Facilities Manager at HAWS.